My experience is that nowadays in my University of Applied Science, focus still is a lot on knowledge, and I think this training will help me and therefore my organization to put the individual, and in our case the student, central. And that will help me and them to live their full potential. What I gained from the session with Jessica is that I got a lot of inspiration, and especially it helps me to redevelop myself as a trainer. And what I certainly will add in my trainings or workshops is that I will apply the H.O.S.T to Transform sessions. The training really gave me new material, new insight to improve myself as a trainer. I would recommend these trainings to, especially to my colleagues at Hem University. I would recommend it because I think they can all improve their teaching when they would follow this training.
This particular tool is very handy for overcoming criticism and skepticism. Well, and there you got it. I have to deal with a lot of criticism and skepticism. So I thought, well, this is my first step. I will implement this particular tool to try to get some people to open up and lose their skepticism. It's very practical, and it's very powerful. I was amazed, and that is not during the session because I was too much involved in the session. I was like, what's but when I came home, I was like, oh. And as I told you, I use it already unconscious because there's not a wrong choice. It's your choice, but there's nothing wrong. So don't be afraid to choose. You can choose, and it's very safe to choose. That's what I learned. Well, in that mindset I came from. Oh, okay, there's no wrong. Well, maybe there is, but don't exclude it. And if you evolve it and you come to the conclusion, well, it's not a very handy choice I made over there. Oh, okay, you change it, and so that's a mindset I'm into right now. If you broadcast it worldwide, people make use of this tool because will really help you.
Sessions from Hosting to Transform really add to the art of hosting practice that is already here in the hub. I am a art of hosting practitioner for almost 8 years, more than 8 years now. And so I have a lot of depth and experience already in hosting, and the art of hosting is a quite serious way of facilitating meaningful conversations and meaningful processes. And I think this adds to it because playfulness and celebration should be part of community building, of community practice. And I think people actually connect around food, campfires, music and fun and playfulness. And I think this really adds to have a framework that really touches that base to bring some lightheartedness also in the serious business of changing the world. It's the shared experience, the lightness and the playfulness that I really like about it.
Yes, I admire your work a lot. I especially love that the tools that H.O.S.T to Transform, that's at least a part of your work, I know, offers that they are so really kind of down to earth, that they have such a low threshold, that you don't have to engage in a week-long workshop to understand it. You don't have to be like kind of really open to experience something new. You just have to be a little bit curious and give 10 minutes of your time, and you can really experience what it is about. So
if you really take care of the energy and of a connection between students and connection between you and the students, because if you only say what do you want to learn and do it yourself, nothing happens. Because then they think, well, I can do better things with my time. But if they feel connected to one another and they have fun together, it's an environment that they they like to be, and they feel connected to you as a teacher. Then they want to work for you. That's also important.
Yeah.
Then something happens. For me working with my students, that's one level that it's directly influenced. Do I say that right? Well,
Yeah,
and then now I'm starting to do things in my team and to see if it's possible to get my team members in another mindset. But because of that, it's already starting to go. It's going to my management, and so I'm starting to do things for the whole institute. So there are also from other departments, from other directions, that teachers there will do something with it. It's all small things, but it's growing. It's starting to become more. So that's what's really happening now. But I also already have ideas that I think, well, it should not only be in our institute, but it could be at H.O.S.T. I started with contacting. That's a completely different thing. Once at the I don't know what that's in English. The National Foundation of Multiple Sclerosis. I contacted them because I have MS myself, and once there I followed a weekend, and that weekend the focus was to make sure that patients get more grip on their life, become more, have more responsibility over their life, and that they can, how do you say that? Well, manage their own life and make choices what they want to do, and
to empower them.
Yes, that's the right word. To empower the patients and to get another mindset, actually. So I thought H.O.S.T to Transform would be really would be beautiful to put in that weekend. The biggest transformation for me was okay, hey, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing, and it's worth to get it out in the world. If I would say it in short, I would say it's a really way in which you have a lot of fun, and so that's very nice. That's not the purpose, but it's nice that it's fun. I mean, you can enjoy it, and then in the things you do, for me, connection is really the key issue. Connection between people, connection with yourself, and that's at the same time. And that's for me, I think, the key issue. That is really connection, and then there's so much more possible. If you then want to develop things or make new things possible, or challenge difficulties or whatever, I think if there's really the connection between you and yourself and you and the other people, then there's so much possible. I think people feel more safe, so they dare to take more risks, dare to be more creative, dare to work more together. I think that's important. Of course, there's a difference between becoming a practitioner or following sessions like these.
To experience it, yeah.
And experiencing these sessions can be good for everyone, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to become a practitioner?
Yeah, then that could also be everybody, but I think then you need to have a little bit of a drive of changing something in people. A lot of exercises are already new, so it's a bit difficult to say how that would be to watch that videos if I hadn't experienced the exercises. Mm-hmm. But especially the videos about the background of the whole program and of the exercises themselves. That for me was very helpful. because I know the exercise, that's for me no issue to do a certain exercise. But the background and what it's actually doing and what you can unlock in people with a certain exercise, that was very good to hear that on those videos, and to be yeah, of course you can see it in that way or in that way, or you can the way you brief or debrief the exercises, that's very helpful. Yeah, I really believe that these young students, these adolescents, that they really can be inspired in their education, and that they really can learn a lot about what they are learning for, but combined with learning about themselves. That's what I really believe in. That's possible in a way that they really like it, so that they really enjoy studying. Well, it's again the connection. I think it's really possible that people feel connected to one another, and then people from different
walks of life, background.
ways of life, different countries, different beliefs. I think it's really possible that they can be connected, and that maybe is good for world peace.
Yay!
The frame is for me clear, so it gives me maybe also a bit certainty in what I'm working with. And so, but it's the frame that helps me, and I always need that a little bit, so I can make more easy connections with things that I'm doing, and then maybe not only the exercises we did in the training, but other exercises I know I can integrate, and so that the frame really helps me. And yeah, what I already said to you, it's that you, Jessica, is also important in the training, and that's difficult to make concrete, but but you have kind of energy that for me it gets me in action, so that's very nice. Yeah, the positive energy is for me was really very nice and good, and I have so in my really this structure in my head, like, okay, this human energy, this openness to connect, and then these shared values, and that's really, really helpful.
The outside world doesn't need education that is that creates the same all the time. It is in need of game changers and people who are able to be flexible in the working field and actually be able to adapt themselves to any kind of situation. Once I've experienced the H.O.S.T to transform with the tools and everything, it's something that could be grasped and actually translated in any kind of context that you would like. So you could use it in a social environment, you could use it in a business environment, you could use it in, if I may say, actually any kind of environment, also within education. And the thing is, just as the host says, you have the human energy, the openness to connect, the shared resources, and the transformation, of course. Everything starts from my point of view with the human energy, because without human energy, I have the feeling that all of the stuff that we see around us wouldn't have come to existence at a certain point of time, and that is a thing that is forgotten nowadays, because I have the feeling that a lot of people are focused, morally focused on effectiveness and how could we be more effective, and things are project based instead of process based.
Yeah.
We actually they don't take the human energy and the human aspect into consideration. Thus, by looking at human aspect as a starting point, it creates this whole shift of mindset in which you actually start to assess things more differently. You start looking at the consistency of your team, the consistency of the people around you, the consistency of whatever, in what kind of environment you are. And of course, then you get the openness to connect. You've known me in your classes. I'm this very open guy who's actually, I love to connect with people. I'm a people's person, and I think I would die if there was no people around me. That would just, it's not a good thing for me. Being open, it also actually it's not only opening yourself, but it gives room to people around you to open themselves to you too. And the beauty of it, once if I may give this example, once things are open, then a lot of energy just flows in and flows out, and you get the chance to actually make use of it in a certain way that you can also create a durable and constant renewal and stuff. Of course, to be able to do that, you must also be prepared to share resources, which could be knowledge, each other's energy, each other's time, whatever. If you don't, sharing is caring. That is also an important basic. And those three things are then again evolved into this huge product, which could be fluid or solid, whatever, and you can call that the transformation.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Nice.
The energy that was created, especially towards the end of the session, created an atmosphere where you just share your knowledge, share your social capital with other people. So I remember at the end of the session we were asked to state a problem or a challenge we were working on that day, and I got 2 or 3 people that said, oh, I can help you with a camera, or I can help you build a website. So within 20 minutes after I arrived to work here, I had new contacts, and that was the, let's say, serendipity eye-opener I got that day, and afterwards I was hooked. I think I'll be coming back to join these sessions because it's really, apart from the whole concept of sharing and the energy that is created, I think for my company, which has to do with helping startups grow, it's an ideal platform to meet new people, like-minded people, entrepreneurs. So most definitely I'll be coming back more and more to do these things. Yeah, people should join these sessions just to get a new, refreshed look into working together. Not only as individuals joining a session, meeting new people, but also as teams. I've had the chance to bring some teams here, work with them in one of the meeting rooms here, and then join a session of H.O.S.T to Transform. And you really notice that by mixing them with other people that they don't know, creating that energy, just their blinkers open and start moving out of their comfort zone and go home energized again. For me, the positive thinking is really important as a result from these H.O.S.T to Transform sessions, because I think in teams or in companies, people, and that's people's nature, to sit around a problem and say how big the problem is, instead of accepting the problem as a fact and then working with it to create something new or innovate or whatever. And by going into such a problem with positive thinking, I think you've solved the mindset part of it. Obviously, then you need to take the next steps, but at least the mindset is there. So that's really important. So the entrepreneurial mindset that is created through these sessions is really great. Before, you see people stuck in their own maybe little island of work or responsibilities, and then afterwards they come out, they have these crazy out-of-the-box ideas, maybe a bit too crazy, but you can always tone them down. And that's the great thing of the entrepreneurial mindset. You dream big and then you start small, and that's something I find great as a result. Yeah. I think any type of team could join one of these sessions. It's not particularly the area of work, but more the fact that you're in a team, and sometimes you're just stuck in processes, checking up on each other, being very tight on targets. One of these sessions could help any team to be more open, to be more flexible, and share their, at the end, social capital again. An experimental learning environment tells me that it's experimental. So you really are looking also for ways to improve learning.
So H.O.S.T to transform is exactly the idea of getting out of the building, right? Because as I said, when I'm creating a product, sometimes I get focused so much on what I need to get done that I don't take the time to talk to people. And especially when I first launched, this was a big thing for me. I wanted to see what people would think. And for me, especially more importantly, is when I tell people about the product, because I'm a technical guy, I'm terrible at this, at explaining the product. When I show them the product, then they're like, oh wow, you know, and so you see more than what they would tell you when you just explain it. And that reaction alone helps. So the H.O.S.T to transform session just fits into exactly that. When you get out of, basically, we say the building, in this case we're still in the building, but basically get out of whatever I'm doing and talk to people. And I like that reaction when I show them the product, and they're excited about the potential that it offers. And so with H.O.S.T to transform, I met a bunch of people that I wouldn't probably go up to and talk to right away, but then you do get feedback from them. Yeah, that H.O.S.T to transform session, I met Mark Peter, and we got to talking about, okay, he was looking for an app developer for something that they were working on. And I said, well, I'm working on apps, so I can give you some tips or whatever. And I told him about my project. And so that's when he said, oh, we also do investment, and I kind of like this, so let's talk. And so, yeah, we had 1 or 2 more meetings after that, and they all went really well. And so now he and his company have invested some money in the company to help us grow and then take it to the next level. But you are like doing everything on your own. And so thanks to the H.O.S.T to transform session, I now was able to spread that wider, because we have Mark Peter doing the investment. Thanks to him, I met some more people that we have in the team, and then I was able to brought in a few more people, because now you have more and more people, so they come together. So that's the transformation right there. You're right in a way that moment sort of kicked it off, because before that, I was on my own trying to do a bunch of stuff, and I was talking to people, but there was no gravity, right? Like there was one person, and now we're 5, and I'm probably looking to add some more. For me, it's one of these things that, it's just 20 minutes, and at the end of it, you're almost 99% guaranteed you're gonna be happy that you did it. It's just that initial step is always, for some reason, so hard for us to take. And actually, that's a good example to go to the gym, because what they usually say, even the gym guys or the people recommending the gym, they always say it's the first 5 minutes. So even if you don't feel in the mood to go to the gym, or you're not sure, they tell you just do it for 5 minutes. If you don't like it after 5 minutes, you can leave. I would say that's probably true for this as well, because then most of the time you end up going longer anyway, because you end up liking it. And so this is where that would fit in. Yeah, it's an experience that it's sort of a thing that you don't know what you're getting into, and that's what makes it a little bit scary. But it's only 20 minutes, and it could be nothing or it could be everything, right? So it's like, why not take the risk for 20 minutes and be a little bit silly? I think this is us in general, but also society. We're always afraid to look silly, and sometimes it's okay. I know I have that problem. You always watch out to like, oh, don't do silly things, and then this is kind of a session where you start out silly and then you start having serious conversation. But because you already did all these crazy things, the conversations are so much easier and so much more, fluid, and you're not afraid to talk about like the stuff that you worry about. Because for me as an entrepreneur, it's like, okay, what are the big things that I need to solve? So that sort of helps to free that all up. I mean, from my perspective, it's definitely relevant for startups, because as a startup, you don't know, like nobody knows what the answers are, right? You're always trying to find the right answer. And so doing something a little bit on the creative side, where that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your core business, helps to stimulate that creativity. So definitely for startups, because you're so much looking for an answer to all the challenges you're facing. And then, of course, that also means for anybody working in the creative space, this means it's also interesting for them. And I kind of expect that to be easier for them. But then I've also spoken to some graphic designers and stuff that are also, especially introverts. So I feel like for introverts, it's definitely one of the things that they should do. It's 20 minutes and there's so many people doing it with you that, you know, you might as well. So I did consulting for Accenture, the consulting company. You can edit that out, I don't know if you can. And we used to have similar sessions, right? Where you have a problem, and especially because we used to have very diverse teams, I could definitely see something like this where you help the team to work together. Actually, I remember now, we actually had sessions with similar people doing creative things. So this could definitely fit into that because it helps the team work together more and understand each other better. And you know, so sharing information is one of the biggest challenges that these teams usually have. So this could definitely work.
It is about hosting, the safety, welcoming people, that they are allowed to be themselves, and that's very important for me. But I also lacked some hands-on how to create this environment in a larger setting. One-on-one is no problem, or few. But if you have 10, 20, 30, then it's more difficult. So that's why I thought, okay, maybe it's hosted Toolkit that I can get information or experiences that I can implement, and the value of it. That even simple things like the first exercise, that you see what is staggering in the flow, what is that is important, that you feel your body, that you be in the now, and not about thinking what's the next step.
Yeah.
And so just what is, that's okay, and work with that. And so I think I can use it and can implement it also. And it feels good, so that's a very important trigger for me. Also, what I see in the co-creation sessions now, it's more mental, like brainstorms and post-its and things like that. And I felt, and I get also feedback from people who are creative, I don't feel it. So engaging with your body and everything, energizing, and also the openness and shared resources that everybody can contribute to something, even if it is a network connection or whatever. That is something that we lack at this moment in our brainstorm sessions. So we can more balance it out by putting these things in. And also celebrate your successes. That's one of the things that I take with me from this session. It is, I do that not that often, or even never. And it's well important to stay motivated why I'm doing this. It's all about enjoying yourself and this thing, and give yourself a present to actually experience what the potential is that you actually have. And if you see that in yourself, then you have also noticed something that you can give to others too. But it starts with yourself first. And that is what most people, I've seen, me included, that we started on the outside. But we have to start in the inside. And this is something that is looking in your inner potential on several levels, and combined that gives a better sense of what you can do. And if you believe it by experience, you can also give it to other people.
Een maand voordat ik vertrok ontmoette ik Jessica en die introduceerde mij in de H.O.S.T Transform wereld. Ik heb toen een sessie met haar meegedaan en ik was eigenlijk meteen zo geïnspireerd door de energie die werd gestimuleerd of die er ontstond en de dynamiek in de groep, dat ik dacht, hier wil ik ook wat mee in mijn project. Dus dat ben ik nu ook gaan toepassen in mijn project. Elke bijeenkomst, de eerste 20 minuten zijn fitness for the mind en het netwerk natuurlijk. En ik gebruik daar ook oefeningen van H.O.S.T Transform. een hele middag mezelf opgesloten in huis en alle oefeningen gaan bekijken, gaan schrijven, waar moet ik op gaan letten. En ondertussen ook coaching van Jessica telefonisch via Skype. Dus op die manier heb ik hem eigenlijk eigen gemaakt, de oefeningen. En vervolgens ben ik het ook gaan toepassen. Dus de eerste bijeenkomst heb ik nu al gehad. Dat waren vooral met hulpverleners en met vrienden. Gewoon puur om te zien hoe het aanslaat hier bij Brazilianen. En het was eigenlijk verbazingwekkend, want het sloeg waanzinnig aan. De energie was gigantisch hoog. De groepsdynamica was ook wel heel mooi om te zien hoe dat groeide. En vooral omdat positieve energie of echt letterlijk oefeningen doen wat te stimuleren hier best wel innovatief is, was het voor hun ook echt een soort awakening van wauw, zulke kleine oefeningen kunnen dit allemaal in mij losmaken. Dus dat was heel mooi om te zien. En voor mij het geeft mij nu op dit moment heel veel houvast om ervoor te zorgen dat de deelnemers voor de bijeenkomst, dus echt voor het zitten en het beginnen van de lessen die ik geef, dat ze hun mind kunnen openstellen, dat ze vertrouwen voelen in de groep, dat ze elkaar beter leren kennen en vanuit daar weer verder kunnen gaan. Dus eigenlijk, ik heb er waanzinnig veel aan gehad. Ik had het zelf niet verwacht, want ik ben best wel een digibeet. Dus ik dacht, hoe ga ik een training volgen en hoe gaat dit goed op mij overkomen? Maar meteen, direct. De video's zijn heel pakkend. Hele goede introducties zijn het ook, van Jessica zelf. Waardoor je de oefening direct begrijpt en ook weet waarom het is. Dat is ook heel fijn. Dus dat waren mijn ervaringen met H.O.S.T Transform digitaal. Om die training te volgen met Practitioner. En echt, aanrader. Zeker. Het heeft een hele grote toevoeging aan mijn project. Dus daarvoor wil ik Jessica ook bedanken. Dank u. Oi, Amanda. Você pode introduzir você?
Nossa, meu nome é Amanda, tenho 22 anos e sou recém-formada em administração e estava num período muito difícil de decisão na minha vida porque eu estava encerrando um ciclo e começando outro ciclo. Nisso, eu conheci a Haline, que me apresentou os 20 minutos de energia, no qual a gente fez exercícios para abrir a mente, para sair da zona de conforto. E nos exercícios que a gente fez, me despertou muito a autoconfiança, a criatividade, e eu vi que a gente é capaz sim de realizar nossos sonhos, é só conseguir, só querer um foco. E esses exercícios proporcionaram isso, porque pode falar das dinâmicas?
Sim, pode.
Dentro da dinâmica que ela vai falando uma coisa, a gente tem que falar o contrário, tipo sim, a gente tem que falar não. Então isso faz com que a gente tenha confiança, coisas que eu tinha uma certa insegurança para falar não para as coisas, e tirou esse bloqueio de mim. Então esses exercícios, eles são muito importantes pra gente.
E como você sente para fazer esse exercício?
Ah, sim, é muito legal. Porque no início as pessoas começam a se interagir, não se conhecem, elas se apresentam, falam algum objeto ou um animal que se identifiquem. E depois que você tem a introdução, você começa a conhecer as pessoas, você perde a vergonha, você já se sente livre e capaz de fazer. A interação entre o grupo é muito boa e é muito bom. Eu gostei muito das energias que a gente desperta. Fora que eu fiz num domingo e a semana que começa na segunda. Na segunda eu já tive muita disposição para começar a minha vida e fazer as coisas.
Ah, que legal! Então, isso foi o resultado do exercício,
São os resultados, porque ele faz com que a gente sinta confiança. Eu acho que o essencial disso, além da criatividade, que é você ter que andar entre as pessoas, interagir, fazer exercício, é você se sentir capaz daquilo que você quer. Coisas que as pessoas acabam perdendo por conta da rotina, que vai desmotivando. A gente se sente motivado, tipo, eu consigo fazer, é só acreditar.
E como pode ajudar na uma equipe ou no trabalho?
Numa equipe de trabalho é muito bom, porque as pessoas, quando elas estão trabalhando, elas acabam entrando numa rotina. E essa rotina faz com que elas esquecem, é só trabalhar, chega no trabalho, faz, então fica monótono. Quando faz esse exercício, que são apenas 20 minutos, você sai da zona de conforto, então você se sente mais disposto, mais motivado para trabalhar e, consequentemente, aumenta a produtividade do seu trabalho. Então, é de suma importância. Projeto
legal.
dos sonhos.
Muito obrigada para falar sobre sua experiência, tá?
De nada.
Ik denk dat de oefeningen die Jessica zojuist met ons gedaan heeft, heel goed zijn om mensen meer betrokken te laten zijn bij de mensen om zich heen, zichzelf meer naar buiten kunnen keren. Met andere woorden, engagement, zeg maar agile, wat een fantastisch mooi woord is, maar wat ook nog maar eens waargemaakt moet worden. Ik denk dat H.O.S.T Transform een methodiek is om dat binnen bedrijven op een goede manier te doen en te komen tot flexibele medewerkers die in deze tijd meer vitaliteit kunnen tonen. En ik ben zeer enthousiast over de methodiek die H.O.S.T Transform daarvoor presenteert. Eigentijds en fantastisch doeltreffend. Ik kan niet anders zeggen. Heel goed.
It would be great value to have this kind of thing in my corporate life. I remember back in the day, new teams getting together, and there's that bit of awkwardness to start with, and people just kind of randomly get to know each other, and there's not really much structure. But this is a way to get everyone on the same playing field and get some energy and some flow, and that's really what we'd be looking for new team creation. And yeah, I can certainly see there's plenty of other opportunities for some of the other exercises that we've done with H.O.S.T Transform in terms of energy and understanding of issues and rapid feedback. So there's a lot of great things that I would have implemented in my corporate life. You want to establish more open dialogue, and this is a good way to get people a bit more comfortable around each other and to a bit more familiar and so anywhere where you just want to accelerate that process.
Jessica gaf hele mooie tips over hoe je eigenlijk die verbinding, het leren van elkaar en eigenlijk het verbeteren van jezelf, van je organisatie of van de processen waar je in zit, hoe je dat in het klein kunt beginnen. Die verbinding, het leren met elkaar, het is echt een prachtige manier via H.O.S.T Transform om daar meer grip op te krijgen en om ook die ervaring die ik nu net zelf heb meegemaakt, om die wellicht ook morgen of volgende week op mijn werk in te kunnen zetten.
Ik vond het dus nu heel leuk dat iedereen door elkaar heen liep. Dus als je ik heb het eerder een keer meegemaakt met een kleiner groepje. En dan heb je veel meer interactie in een soort kringversie. En dan ben je ook even los van de normaalheid. Ja. Maar dat dus leuk is dat je zelfs dus met een hele grote groep allemaal door elkaar kan gaan lopen en dat het dan ook heel goed werkt.
Ja.
Dat vond ik heel leuk.
Ja, en ik vond ook heel persoonlijk heel tof wat er dan toch weer uitkomt. Twee mensen die naast elkaar staan.
En die uit dezelfde school komen.
Hockey en weet ik veel wat, dat ze dat delen. Echt bizar. Ja. En websites en hele klantenkringen erbij. Ja. Nou,
en daar kom je dus anders gewoon überhaupt nooit achter.
Nee, dan kun je eeuwen naast elkaar werken, maar je hebt geen idee.
Ja.
Top.
Dus heel leuk.
Yay!
We always assumed that we were very, very good at connecting members. Until after the first session I spoke to a few members and they told me about the number of people they'd met for the first time and the different experiences they've had. People discovered neighbors they never knew they had. People discovered they actually had similar interests. So this goes so far beyond anything that we even envisaged for where they'll connect. Because when we try and connect startups, we try and connect them on skills. This connects them at a human level. And I think that lasts a lot longer than transactional skill-based associations. H.O.S.T Transform will or has already impacted a lot in how we look at facilitation. To the extent that we want our employees and myself trained to be better facilitators. Because we are in the space we are, we do tend to see at least one new startup every month and a few new employees every month. So that attrition ensures that we have to be on our toes and integrate them into the community. Because what we realize is that just having a common space, a common kitchen or a common lounge doesn't bring people together. There has to be a bit more than that, and that's what I feel H.O.S.T to Transform brings to the picture. So H.O.S.T to Transform, I don't feel is a region specific thing. The reason I say that is what the session focuses on and what the people are focused on are more fundamental human values. Of connections, we are all social creatures. We want to feel a connection to a fellow human being, and that's what it most importantly emerges, right? Even the session that we've had, people are from all over the world. There are Europeans, there are Americans, there are Indians from all over the country. And if all of these people can connect to each other, I think it proves that it's not a region-specific phenomenon. As for corporates, there are existing sessions that some corporates conduct to varying degrees of success, but they look upon it as once a year team building exercises. I feel the essence of H.O.S.T to Transform lies in the regularity of it, in the fact that it's ingrained as part of your schedule, where you do meet new people in your community, or you go back to people you've already met and say, hey, you talked about this last time, how's that going on, working out for you? And the regularity of it actually brings a different essence and a different ethos to the session, which is not possible in a once a year team building exercise. So yes, I think it would work really well in a corporate setting as well. I do feel it's not a set format, as in the first session was very different to the second session, for instance, and I think people will find their own patterns which are relevant to the specific context of which they're in. Probably the energize is a bit longer, probably the introduction, as in the one-to-one meetings are a bit longer, whatever it is. And I think it also can preface events. It doesn't necessarily just have to be a context-specific thing where it's co-working spaces or people working together. I want our event manager to be trained in it, because before events where there are strangers at one event, I want the session like this. It doesn't necessarily have to be 15 minutes or 20 minutes, it can be a 10-minute energize.
I do believe that if people think positive, if they act also in a positive way, there's a flow that helps you and helps the others. And yeah, maybe that is actually what we need more in this world.
I think that the fitness for the mind and network, the whole concept is, I think it's really cool. I mean, we need more of it on a global scale. I mean, I've had the opportunity to live and work in, Europe, South America, as well as other continents, South Africa as well. And I don't see enough of people connecting, even at events where it's meant to be a co-working space and, you're going to go meet. No one does it. Like, you kind of just sit and you're like, hi. And it doesn't really go beyond that, let alone making the stretch. And unless you're of that kind of mindset, which is only limited to a very few select people that will go up to a stranger, then it needs to be facilitated. And that was one of the great things I saw about the fitness of the mind, the networking event that we just had, because yeah, literally I got to meet a guy that was from Brazil. He's trying to get citizenship in Italy and he's here to do graphic design. He has an interesting story. I met someone else who traveled through India and was a freelance journalist, and I need some help with some content writing that I'm doing, and the graphic designer could perhaps, maybe I could help him get settled because I used to live in Italy. So all of these things would never happen if it wasn't for a simple thing like a meeting like that. So I definitely want more of this to happen kind of across rooms, because even the so-called kind of working spaces aren't enough. You need a push, and this for me is that. I think that anything that pushes people into uncomfortable places is great for mind and body, and the reality is as we were saying, I see a need for this because you can look at kind of look behind me, you can see what's going on. It's like everyone's kind of working on their laptops and individually, and it's not really a cohesive working space in terms of collaboration and communication. So forcing that, giving it a little kick at the beginning, is really worthwhile. And I think that really helps with this concept of burning your bridges, because when you don't give yourself an opportunity to exit, then the only way is forward. And this is what happens when you're in that group and we start playing these seemingly meaningless games, but they're there for a purpose, because it's pushing you to do something as part of a group. Let's talk about birthdays, let's talk about countries, let's play a game about naming vegetables, and you can't think of a vegetable, so you just say like blah. And it's funny, but it's also, you get a little bit nervous because you see it as a little bit of a sign of a lack of intellect, or ooh, and that's really invigorating, because you realize that, oh, everyone else is making mistakes, and it's very difficult for someone to make those steps all alone. And that's what's really great about these groups. 1,200 friends on my Facebook. I've got a different account that I used to use for work. It's got 5,500 friends. How many conversations do I have with these people on a regular basis? Oh my God, it's like less than, good friends, less than 5. People I speak to, maybe 25. So yes, you need the face-to-face contact. And the interesting thing for me, being a digital nomad, is that sometimes I forget that. I spend a lot of time kind of in isolation, quote unquote, because I'm pursuing other interests. And today kind of made me realize that, oh wow, it's cool to just kind of meet people and be like, oh hey man, or hey, what's up, and just kind of talk. And the kind of connections you build far outweigh friending someone just on Facebook, or liking a post, or connecting them, or sending a connection request on LinkedIn, because then it's very much about what is the best strategy to approach you, and what have you done? And sometimes all it takes is a face-to-face meeting, being like, oh hey, I'm Deepak, or hey. So that's really outweighs the value of, as you said, just kind of friending someone on Facebook. One of the greatest unspoken parts about entrepreneurship is the loneliness that's involved when you go and decide to beat your own path, and that you're on a track, but you're on a track that's kind of you work in silos. You work alone a lot of the time, and you grab bits of information here and there, but you're laying the tracks that's going to be kind of the railway that's for your own life. And this is stressful. We spend all this time in education, and then the workplace being told what to do. So it's so nice and stress relieving to be able to meet people that are on that same journey as you. And it isn't just in a digital format. So, oh, hey, and that's something that, I feel, for example, that I miss a little bit. Like, there's things to be said about a kind of office environment, but where you have people that can share your struggle. And, I don't know, my mum always was like, a problem shared is a problem halved. And it's funny when you look back and you think, oh, wow, so she wasn't lying then. Like, it really is helpful to just talk to people about, this is my stuff. Can you help me with my stuff? Because everyone has their stuff. It's just a case of finding out what it is. So yeah, it was really great and stress relieving to be able to meet people face to face and just talk about our own problems.
I think H.O.S.T Transform H.O.S.T Transform was great because they came in and sort of merged, look, we can play these activities in these games, and we can also achieve business goals and through that. So it's not like we're utilizing games, but also for sort of strategizing and achieving milestones for companies.
Yeah.
So it sort of grounded it in a way where my need for creativity and was being met with the needs of the entrepreneurs to, stay in business and succeed. And H.O.S.T Transform, I thought, when we did a workshop with them and brought the entrepreneurs together and began doing events around figuring out what people's needs were and how everybody could help meet those needs, I feel like I really found my niche. I was like, wow, working with entrepreneurs, but also facilitating ways for these entrepreneurs to figure out how to help each other, meet each other's needs, and also keep each other uplifted. I felt like that sort of began streamlining the kind of communities that I'm interested in building and how I want to build with those communities. I think the principles in H.O.S.T Transform could be valuable in any corporation and any organization. I think that over time, if you build a community through sort of shared leadership, so, you have certain games and then one person initiates and spends, does it bi-weekly or once a month. They run a game. and then have someone else run the game the next week and build supportive environments. I think people can become comfortable leading these games. You know, so I'm a strong proponent of taking those 20 minutes or trying to get people to connect and play and engage. But it's challenging because, you know, not many people see that as valuable or necessary. So, or no, people haven't experienced sort of adults playing games or activities. So, so sometimes you're kind of like the renegade in the space that's saying, hey, maybe we should take those 20 minutes and let's play an activity. And literally, like, I've been working in collaborative spaces since like 2012. And I've been like, you know, either with smaller teams, and as the teams have grown, I've always been the voice that has been a strong proponent of engaging and utilizing play as a means of accelerating the growth of the organization.
Bigger companies with lots of staff, I could definitely recommend it. Like, say you have 6 people or more staff that work together and are close, have to interact, have to do things together, depend on each other. Then it would actually be quite useful to do sessions like this, because I just compared it to a school trip. Like, I remember at school, after the school trip, you would like your classmates much better and get along better. And of course, we're still people, we're not kids anymore, but a lot of things stay. So then colleagues might like each other more and get along better, get things done easier and nicer, more pleasant and faster and cheaper for the boss.
Last 2 sessions, there's actually a couple of really interesting things. Wednesday we did this thing, I don't know, it was all new to me. It was like, I see this improvisation thing, which I already knew a bit, but then you switched it to like asking questions like problems in your career or in your entrepreneurship, and then somebody else gives the answer and the third person gives the summary. So basically what happens is you shout out your problem and you just get all the answers. So it's like, wow, it's like improvisation, problem solving. There's a really nice structure how you do things, like how you can have like a really playful element, and it's like there is no sense, like I'm doing this for why, you know, and then you just do it, and then you switch it very fast and you get people to give really to get something out of the exercise by it, and they give the answer themselves. So it's really playful, and then you actually turn the playful thing into something very useful where people connect and also they also give value to each other. And then after the session we all are together and talking and connecting, and it's really a lot of value, and I really like how you structure it. Yeah, like when you're really thinking about things, how you can go on a more playful way to solve your problems, and also how to structure my life or giving value to people as a group, how you can structure that better. That's what I really it's the main thing I want to take away from it. Anybody who's like wants to learn something about himself or wants to come into action and connect in a group like this, I think actually most people here, when I came in on Wednesday, it's like everybody's in the computer like hi, and there's nothing happening. And after the session they all connect, they all want to be involved and share, but they don't do it. And a session like this really brings it all together very fast. So that's, I don't know, it could be for everybody.
I am a student at Saxion University, and I can say that it was a pleasure for me to participate at the lecture and also at the workshop from today with Jessica. I can tell you that Jessica wants to make the world better by sharing experiences from each other. This workshop encouraged me to show and to discuss my ideas more openly to people.
Stel je voor, kijk, nu heb je veel bedrijven die niet goed gaan of zo, die misschien met conflicten onderling of wat dan ook, dat dit echt wel een middel is waardoor bedrijven er weer bovenop kunnen komen.
Ja.
Want je ziet elkaar dan op een ander vlak dan dat je elkaar ziet in, oh, het bedrijf gaat slecht, zeuren.
Ja.
Ik denk dat dat een middel is om misschien zelfs boven een faillissement
meet someone and then people
Oh,
respond to it.
absolutely not. Oh, so like little things like we had you over for Host to Transform because we saw the potential of how the community can actually extract from your sessions. And trust me, I have never like it was very surprising because I was not very sure of how people are going to respond because now these guys are like the serious techie guys. They love their
The
laptops
left
and
brainers.
yes, yeah, and they like they were like for an hour they do not want to waste time and they don't like to, so they're very particular and very possessive about their time as well. So I was really concerned. I was like, oh my god, I'm trying this, but I'm just a little nervous at how they're going to respond because most of them are really closed and shy, and even though it's a community, they just usually just keep it to work. And we wanted the community to grow, and we saw the potential that Host Transform can actually have and the impact will have on the community. Trust me, as soon as you left, Jessica, there were a few people came back and they were like, Sneha, let's just try to have more of these sessions. And I was like, you guys
That's so
enjoyed
cool.
it? Yeah, you guys enjoyed it? And they were like, we loved it. This is just like, it's helping us break the ice and it's helping us understand and it's helping us contribute to the community rather than just taking from the community. And we want to contribute too. And if we can be of, he's like, I didn't know, it was as simple as one of the guys came up and told me that, I sit in the next room of that guy for the past 6 months and I just know him by his name and I didn't know he can develop an app and have been looking for a web app
And you're
developer.
sitting next to each other.
Yes, and I was like, what? So they were like, yeah, I didn't know he does that. Now I know it. And I'm like, awesome, you should then go and talk to him and get that. It's more about how you actually led the workshop. Like you said, it was never in the face. It was never forceful. It didn't push you to the uncomfortable zone where you were like a little eerie and you were like, oh my God, why am I here? I didn't sense that from anybody all throughout the session or even post session. They were just so comfortable, they were just so comfortable, and I'm like, wow, they can become comfortable with each other, and nobody's pushing them to do it. So it was a lovely experience. It was a great experience, and I think it did open a lot of doors for communications. In a way, people started talking to each other, people started addressing each other, people started actually looking to each other for help, and they would come up and they would contribute themselves, and they would be like, oh Sneh, you know what, I know SEO very well, do you want me to conduct a session? And I'm like, yeah, I saw you like a year back from you and it's taken you 8 months to come up and tell me, but I'm glad that they came up and told me that. So it's great, it's the whole idea of them trying to take the ownership and trying to take the step towards contributing to the community or to each other. It's the communication has become more fluid, and it flows, it happens, so it's great. Your session happened the next day. I had I'm going to talk about IP, and they all were yawning away. And post your session, everybody was so energetic. The whole day was so bubbly and so positive. Like I could see people like talking and wanting to share ideas and wanting to make conversations, even debates for that matter. And they were just like, they were looking forward to the day. The whole transformation is, but when I say transformation, it's just from a day to day when I'm trying to compare of how your workshop had an impact in them all throughout the day, and what was the next session like. It's for me, that was the best transformation that I could see, is that the community started, they just needed an icebreaker, and your session served the purpose. So it was gorgeous.
Yeah, that's funny. It's actually, our purpose is not so much to make people do things and make them interact and force them, but we provide a framework where interaction happens.
Yes.
So we provide a structure, and within that structure, behavior occurs according their need or what's on top of their mind, and not so much about how we want them to behave. And I think
Exactly.
that's the main difference.
Yeah, because so Jaga also supports that we do not force anything on anybody, and we do not have any rules and regulations that you're not supposed to do this or that. It's just like a very open space. It's your space. Utilize it and exploit it, and love it, but at the same point of time. So when your framework came in place, it just it's just synchronized in such a beautiful manner that it just now I feel like it's a part of everything when we are trying to do any community events or talks or just happy hours, or it's just even lunch sessions. I can see the whole framework taking place and doing its part beautifully.
The H.O.S.T to Transform sessions have always been very interesting to me, amazing also. Well, it's called Transform session, and it is really true. It's transforming. What is it transforming for me, and I think also for the others? It's transforming attitude towards my own business, my own way of making business or being entrepreneur, and also transforming how I perceive the others, how I approach others, how I create my network, because through the H.O.S.T to Transform sessions, I realized that the network is very important. Nothing bad about it to create a network. Why would I join H.O.S.T to Transform sessions? Curiosity, that's one. I'm curious about the outcome. I'm also curious about myself, how I am in relationship with other people. It's kind of, yeah, also sometimes my challenge, to be honest. It's a nice way of distraction for me, in a good way, in a positive way. It's always nice 30 minutes, challenging also sometimes, but that's the nice part about it too, that you tell about your ways of making business. What were your failures, what were your successes? And this is very important because it gives you the chance to look at yourself into the mirror. You get the mirror in front of yourself, and that's always good because you can realize a lot of things about yourself. So on a personal level, that's what I value very much about the H.O.S.T to Transform sessions.